This video will introduce you to running a consultation process that moves forward your plan to establish a renewable energy project. The Plan Local Resource Pack and website contain event planners and suggested exercises to help you get people involved in making decisions for your community. This video introduces you to the principles of consultation.
Firstly, it's vital to understand what is and what isn't a consultation. The announcing of a well-developed plan is not consultation. This is an all too common mistake. Too often people or organisations think they're consulting when they're merely giving people information about what they plan to do and defending their plans if they're criticised. Surprisingly, a lot of published guidance suggests that you do exactly this: shape your plans in some detail and then present them for people to comment on. If you do this, you're not giving people a chance to contribute to the plan, only to passively accept it. Of course, they may embrace your idea if they think it's a good one, but equally they may object to not being included in any discussion. Their objections may be based on misinformation and misunderstandings. This automatically sets up a position of conflict and puts people into opposing camps, for and against. You risk alienating some people who'll feel they have no option but to fight their corner. Often this will mean someone ends up a winner and someone a loser.
You don't want a win-lose outcome if you can possibly help it. Much better to have a win-win outcome if you can, and this will be much easier if you're flexible and genuinely open to others' ideas from the outset. Now, this is easier said than done. It's far more common in our society to find examples of adversarial public debate than open and inclusive public conversation. But remember, you're the ones who are in possession of the idea, a lot of the facts, and most of the passion. Be prepared to be as open and inclusive as possible, because it'd be normal for others to be suspicious, doubtful of your intentions, or even fearful of the outcome, at least initially. These people will most likely adopt a very adversarial and questioning approach.
Start open. Say, for example, that your small group has a hydropower project in mind. Why not run a community meeting or series of meetings that introduces all types of renewables? And this will get people thinking about which option would be best in their area. You could discuss the advantages and disadvantages of each. People will come on board and collectively decide your aims and how to meet them. There will then be a sense of collective endeavour, and there's every likelihood that the wider community will then decide that a hydropower project is the right one to take forward.
Broad-based and open consultations can help reveal common ground between groups who, on the face of it, have little in common. For example, a public meeting about a solar panels project might attract people who are very concerned about changing the look of the housing in the village or street, especially if it's older housing with period features that they value. By being open and accepting of their views, you could find that those same people are also very concerned about the increasing cost of fuel bills, and that these same older houses are the most expensive and difficult to heat. So, you could frame your conversations around solar in terms of reducing bills and tackling fuel poverty, rather than focusing on climate change. Be open to any outcome, not attached to a particular one. If you embrace others' ideas, you may not end up with your preferred project, but with something else that's equally valid. And once people have the renewable energy bug, then you may be able to revisit your initial idea for that 300-foot wind turbine. If you stick doggedly to your original aim in the face of considerable opposition, you could end up with nothing at all.
Firstly, even if a renewable energy project is your aim, your consultation probably shouldn't be just about renewable energy and nothing else. For your project to gain wider acceptance, you'll need to address the issues that others care about. Many people in your area might be motivated by environmental issues, only different ones. Undermanaged parks, open spaces, litter or graffiti, for example. They may feel that tackling climate change should begin with switching off lights and insulating homes, not generating energy.
It can therefore be worth starting by including in your consultation the question, what would people want to address if they had some funding to do so? If your renewable energy scheme would generate income, as many do, it could be presented as an enabling project, something that raises money to tackle other environmental or social issues, rather than merely a project to reduce carbon. But be careful about promising too much. The sort of large-scale projects that generate lots of cash may not be possible in your neighbourhood. In all communities, however, there's still the potential for small-scale renewable energy installations that have an attractive payback period, reduce people's energy bills over time, and reduce your carbon footprint. Research suggests that people subconsciously classify themselves with the phrase, "I am the sort of person who does X," where X may stand for takes action against climate change or helps out at the local school. And this opinion of themselves affects how they respond to new ideas. If someone is not the sort of person who thinks about renewable energy, your proposal for a couple of large wind turbines is simply not going to resonate with them and will probably rather frighten them. For them, it's too much, too soon.
So, how do you move forward? How do you make someone say of themselves, "I'm the sort of person who takes action against climate change"? One way is to ask them to do something small. Sign a petition to get the local MP to vote for a certain bill on tackling climate change, for example. Get them involved in the public meetings, which require comparatively little effort or commitment. But attending a meeting about reducing your community's carbon footprint does make people classify themselves, and they'll begin to think that they are the sort of people who do take action on climate change.
Before you go public with your proposal, it's a good idea to consider who might be affected by its implementation. We call these people stakeholders, and they could be individuals or groups, including homeowners, dog walkers, fishermen, school children, and many others. Some can be quite distant from your community, but if their views count, you need to make sure you've included them. A stakeholder mapping exercise will help you identify who the stakeholders are. In particular, it'll help pinpoint those groups or individuals who are significant players in your community. They may be against your idea, or they may be right behind you. We think of these as blockers and boosters. Think about who these might be and what motivates them, and then come up with a strategy for how best to deal with each of them. The Plan Local Resource Pack gives guidance on how to do this. You may decide to engage in some smaller scale consultation work that concentrates on engaging with a few key groups first. The stakeholder mapping exercise will help you decide who these might be.
I'm afraid it's one of those "how long is a piece of string" answers. It depends how big and how cohesive your community is, for one thing, and what scale of project you're talking about. You'll probably find that one event isn't enough, unless you're talking about a small project in a single building, so be prepared to devote several months to the task as a minimum.
A consultation isn't a consultation if people don't know it's going on, so you need to promote your consultation widely. The possibilities are almost endless, from posters in shops, pubs and public buildings to leaflet drops, information stands, emails, and even a simple website. Many communities have a local newsletter, and you should try to give presentations at other local group meetings, outlining your basic ideas and urging them to attend the wider consultation. Your local paper may be willing to run some editorial, but be careful. Inaccuracies in a local press piece can be very damaging. I hope you can now see the value in consultation and have some ideas for how you can hold effective consultations in your own community.